Hi Gemini, welcome to your August 2020 General Tarot reading. It's Raina here. So, here I go. Here I go. Let's see what's happening here. Wow, I can't remember if I was getting a lot of Cups cards with you last time. It feels like that, but I'm not quite sure. Okay. One thing to note is that the Cups can relate also to spiritual endeavors. And, North Node is in your sign. The eclipses, which are connected to that. And, yeah, so let's start this going. So the heart of the matter is the Four of Cups. You can see just by looking at what is going on here that you have somebody, and you can even, with the clouds, it can even be the universe offering you something. Now this is emotional because it's Cups, and the person is indifferent. Sometimes they are jaded, dissatisfied with life. You know how you ever have a time when you're in a bad mood and somebody tries to, joke around and you're just kind of indifferent to it because you're not feeling very amused by life? Well, that is an example of that. And one of the things that an air sign has to do is to try to drop into your feelings, because and if you feel that sense of disillusionment, dissatisfaction, maybe indifference, blasé, you just feel like that you can take something or leave it. That is something to pay attention to. Don't second guess yourself and say, well, maybe I'm just being too harsh about this or that. Really pay attention to your indifference and your discomfort. But the discomfort isn't going to be like just overwhelming. It's going to be kind of a flatness. And sometimes we kind of underplay that and say, oh, well, maybe it's not that bad because I'm not like up in arms about this or that. So it's probably just me. And it is just you, but you matter. Your feelings matter. Your indifference matters. So don't think that you should be enthused about something that you're not enthused about. And in the past position, I didn't really put two and two together. We have the Eight of Cups, and this can indicate someone leaving what no longer serves them and, perhaps on a spiritual quest for meaning in life. So putting these two cards together, it's like you're not easily amused anymore. And I think of Gemini as one of the most amusing signs, being your opposite sign of Sagittarius. So we're, in a way, two peas in a pod, but I'm always quite envious of the way that Gemini invents lingo and, there's just something about Gemini that is very creative in a now moment sort of way. That's why Gemini is so great with the media, because they can meme. They're meme masters, for one. Very clever people. So it's easy to live on the surface of life when you're kind of witty and trying to enjoy things. But sometimes things get deeper. And this may be the death of somebody that was close to you, or the loss of somebody, whether it's death or or just a breakup that you didn't want. And that kind of deepens you, that makes you think, that makes you stand up and take notice, and you're not as easily amused, and that's a good thing. That means that you're searching for more out of life. But you may feel in a bit of a holding pattern, in a sense, because sometimes we're on that spiritual quest, but we're not quite sure of, we're still in the woods that have not been kind of trimmed down, and there's no clear path for us. So we are in this in-between spot between leaving the world, the mundane side of life, and really embracing the spiritual that is based on our own individualized path, not just cookie cutter. So in that in-between place, it may be that dissatisfaction is right on time, is really what it's all about. There's nothing wrong with dissatisfaction. It can be a great motivator. The higher message, or this could be like the spiritual perspective, is the Eight of Wands, which is a card of a lot of forward movement, a lot of movement in general, perhaps a quickening of the spirit. So that suggests an upliftment, if that's a word, of your emotions, a sense of joy kind of emerging. And it may come out of left field, it may come out of when you least expect it. So don't kind of write off this possibility for something to come in very suddenly, rush in. And I mean, if you are dissatisfied with a relationship, you may get a new relationship that is more inspiring than what you have been dealing with. Perhaps you were dealing with somebody who weighed you down with their own, intense emotions, and it was just too much, and it wasn't really the right fit for you. You didn't know how to handle it. And typically what a Gemini person is going to do is to, become more frivolous to counter the heaviness of somebody else's emotions, and kind of like detached, but also trying to make that other person more, kind of cheer them up. And then that just pisses them off because they feel like you're not really tuning into them. So it becomes a whole thing. So I feel that if this is relationship related, somebody comes into your life in a very unexpected way, and it just like kind of catapults you out of a slump, if you will. Not because somebody else has that power to affect you that deeply, but they do have some influence, and it's a positive one. What crosses you is the Seven of Wands. This is a card that's the person's in a defensive posture. So what I would suggest is that you do not, I don't like to suggest things, because then it's, it sounds like I'm giving advice. What I would say is perhaps you have to be more tuned into yourself, and not kind of like talking to other people about whatever the situation is going on. And not that that is always a bad idea, but you might be in a situation right now, Gemini, that you're undergoing a spiritual upgrade, and because of that, it's very difficult for other people to understand what that entails, because even the person's energetic field or their vibration may be faster, and how that can play out for other people is that they find themselves I wouldn't say go as far as saying repelled by you, but they just feel this sense of like major differences. And on their end, that can make them feel threatened. And so they react by trying to negate whatever your experiences are that you talk about. They don't want to hear it. They push back on that. And so sometimes if this is specifically a spiritual type of I don't want to say a battle, but just like something that you are really dealing with, that you don't try to gain favor from anybody by discussing your ideas in advance. Being a fellow mutable sign, I think all of us mutable signs, and the other mutable signs are Virgo and Pisces, we have a tendency sometimes to talk a good game, but not necessarily do what we say we're going to do. And so that's another good reason for kind of keeping your cards close to the vest, pardon the pun, and being more introspective, maybe more like a Scorpio, where you're not so open about everything and you do what you think is right without like checking in with somebody, in other words. And I think that what that can do is give you a sense of autonomy more, where you don't have to answer to anyone. Because I feel with that Seven of Wands that this is like feeling like it's almost like, it's funny because this is the Eight of Wands, and I see these as like arrows. But this is like in Law of Attraction and Abraham Hicks, they talk about rockets of desire that you're shooting out. And that's like every time that you want something, you're kind of like creating that future reality by even your desire for it. So the Seven of Wands, however, I feel is kind of defending yourself from all of the things that you have accomplished, want to accomplish, because it's coming from the Six of Wands, which is a card of recognition. So sometimes people are threatened by our success, our sense of ideas, the things that we want to accomplish, when they don't have a vision for themselves. So we have to be very careful about throwing pearls to swine and that kind of thing. Oh wow, I swear when I'm pulling these cards, I'm not even like thinking holistically about them. I wasn't even paying attention to this card. What is coming in is the High Priestess. So this is that card of the spiritual. I mean, at the beginning, I noticed that I had the High Priestess, so I was thinking there was a spiritual theme to this. But when I was talking about, keeping your own counsel, I wasn't thinking about this card. And this goes along right what I said. The High Priestess, be still and know. Going within, but also connecting with your higher self. And this, I mean, if you're one of those mercurial Geminis who's like ADD, as somebody who thinks I have ADD, one of the things that I have found that I think can be very effective for meditating is through doing what I call a power walk. But it's not where you embarrass yourself in public by swinging your arms around. It's about thinking about the things that you want to attract. It's like a law of attraction walk, and you're tuning into those things, feeling what it would feel like to have those things, which is the attracting force behind this, is the energetic, the feeling. And that's, hello, Four of Cups. This is a way to show what you don't want, but it's not a good vibration for attracting things to you. That's the problem. When you have malaise, that is kind of the opposite of that. So doing that on a walk, so that if you have this nervous energy, Gemini, that you can channel it to some degree. Even doing like a mantra while you're walking to become more thoughtless. If you want to let go of your thoughts, doing the mantra can drown out the thoughts by, you could even say it out loud. And some people might carry their japa beads with them while they're walking. I mean, monks would walk while they chanted, so it's not like I'm reinventing the wheel here. This already exists, but I'm just saying that you might want to tweak what that represents with the high priestess. But it's basically your higher self. It's not like I'm going to call my best friend and ask what they think of it. It's not their life, and they have a different way of looking at things. The outcome is the King of Wands. This is a card of self-empowerment, of feeling like you are in charge of your life. Maybe you haven't felt that way for a while now, Gemini, and this is about getting back in the driver's seat. If there's somebody that you're interested in, it could be a Sagittarius or a Leo or an Aries person. It's kind of reiterating what I said about the Eight of Wands. Coming in maybe when you least expect it. But the point is that when you're with the right person, it's not going to be like the Seven of Wands where you're fending off attacks. That person is going to celebrate you. They're not going to pick at you. You know, can you see the difference between celebration and, you know, just criticizing somebody all the time? It's a totally different vibe. So I hope that this resonated with you. I love the idea of the King of Wands for ourselves because autonomy is cool. And that doesn't mean you can't work for somebody else, but in that situation of working for someone else, even that will be where you have a good deal of autonomy. So maybe you get to decide what your hours are, you get to decide who you work with, like clients. Maybe you get to work alone, so you don't have to deal with coworkers, who knows. But just this feeling of enthusiasm, that's what the wands are related to as well. Passion and things like that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, Gemini. I hope you have a great month. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.